Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of a podcast where two guys talk about a sport that is three sports. That podcast is Talking Triathlon. I am Tim Ford. That is James Bale. We are back. Welcome, Jimbo. How you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. We made it. We made it another week. This is the second of my double header from France. How you doing?
Yeah, good. I completely I don't know how to even explain it. I like got the days mixed up, or I thought I had more time this week, or thought it was because I messaged you last night a bit of a panic. I was like, oh shit, mate, when are we doing this? So thank you for being a bit flexible because yeah, I sort of shit the bed a little bit this week with it, but
No,
you are
you're all
right.
good. I'd expected a late night tonight. I thought it'd be easier for everybody.
I do, like I said, I do appreciate it, but mate, it is a perfect time in the world to have a podcast about triathlon or where you talk about triathlon because there is a lot of triathlon in happening.
Fucking A. There's a
It's
load of triathloning happening.
it's
Has
ridiculous.
happened, about to happen. It's good.
It's
Good.
good.
Long may it continue.
But it is like I'm really starting to like cheat. Like I don't know if it was the intended intention, the intention, right? Where every start list at the moment seems to be pretty legit. Like I don't know. I don't know. I can't. No start list yet to me has been like the absolute pinnacle, like a true world championship start. We've had some good start lists, but every single one is just better than normal. Like every race I come across, I'm like, fucking hell, this is like we're gonna talk about it later, but like there's just so many races with so many big names, and some people who you don't normally expect to race that often are racing a lot more and like things like that. It's whatever they sprinkled in that pro triathlon water is working, mate. It's good to see. But before we start talking about triathlon, what's going on in James Bale's world? You told us about your 39-kilometer run last week that was 38 kilometers, but how was your birthday, mate? How was your birthday run?
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. We had a good weekend. It was it's rained every day since I've been here, apart from my birthday, which was Saturday, which was nice. So I actually got some good weather on that day. Went for a little
Victory.
trail run. Yeah,
Yes, there you go,
went for a
James.
trail run. Came back, ate some food, had my first beer of 2024 to toast another year down. And yeah, it's been really good. It's been really relaxing.
Is
How
that
about
what
you?
is that what British people do? Like, I don't know if you have this tradition in the UK, I assume you do, where when it's your birthday and they put the candles on the cake and you make a wish and you blow it out, and if you blow out all the candles at one time, the wish comes true. Is this a standard agreed upon? Everybody knows that every miserable pom always wishes for good weather. Like, is that just like the standard thing that happens in the UK where it's like, please let it not rain today? Is it something like that, mate? Or
Hey, it's the weather here in this part of France is normally a lot better than it is in Devon. So it's been a unique couple of weeks because I was expecting a bit more sun on my skin, but I'm still looking like a pasty Brit.
I think it's just a permanent state of existence, man. Like, do you tan? That's a good. Do you
I
actually get
can
it?
tan. I've been known to tan. I
t-
think
pro-
if you look at these two images right now under
Mhm.
this lighting,
Yeah, I was going to say the lighting is very
I've
important.
definitely got the more of a tanned appearance than yourself, my man.
Absolutely not, mate. I assure you do not. It's always funny. I think people are surprised how tanned I get because then when I like, I've got the massive swim line or the cyclist tan. I'm like, oh shit, you really are pale. It's like, yeah, but we're not here to talk about tanning. What is going on with me? Marathon training, mate, is just the best.
So you're gonna do the marathon.
It's the plan. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right. Game
Got it.
on. Love it.
Yeah, but that's what I've got a 25-kilometer run on Sunday. I've got lots of
How's the
running.
foot holding?
Foot's fine, mate. Like foot's not bothering me. Other parts I get like knees get a little bit iffy, a bit sore, but I'm good, in the gym hard, doing all that stuff. I think I ran on Wednesday and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm a bit stiff and sore today. I can feel it, which is good. It's the goal. But the thing I had this. Now I'll tell you. Okay, so I did. People don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I had a bike
Oh, we
session
care.
yesterday.
We care. We care.
Reese gave
Lean
me
in.
the, Reese gave me this session yesterday, and I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's all right actually. Like I'm not loving bike riding at the moment. I don't know what I've got some weird block with cycling at the moment, but I looked at it and it was 30 times 15 seconds, like flat out, like not flat out, but like on train, like 650 watts or something for 15 seconds with a minute recovery in between. And I looked at it and I thought, jackpot. Like that's not hard. That'll be a piece of piss. fucking five reps into this thing, mate. I thought my heart was going to explode. Like actually, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I turned off erg mode and I just went, I'm just gonna, and I still hit probably 600 watts for each interval. But I got off the bike after that. I couldn't do the cool down. Like the second it ended, I was like, get me the fuck off this bike. But I was shaking, mate. Like, like,
Really?
like properly had the shakes after I finished. I was like, Des came in where I was training, and I was just like white grip or knuckle holding the handlebars, but I was standing next to the bike, and I was just like, didn't even hear her come in or anything. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't know if I am." Fuck, man, it absolutely. Again, I've never. It's probably I've seen sessions or I've done sessions that have been really. I've done sessions that have made me vomit. I've done sessions like I've done hard sessions. I don't think I've ever had that experience where I expected a session to not be so bad, and to have it absolutely fucking destroy me the way it
How
did.
was
It
the
just,
recovery afterwards?
yeah, it's all right now. It's fine. I just sat on the
No,
couch and watched that Baby Reindeer show on Netflix.
it's a bit
And
much that.
fucking hell, mate, that when I was messaging you after it last night, that one episode. If you haven't though, watch it. Excellent show. But man, yeah, that session absolutely fucking floored me. So love it. How good's train? I like it though. I like that the training's hard.
I'm
So
just Jimmy base run at the moment. So I don't miss that kind of session right now, but it'll come, I'm sure. But right now it's just base run after base run after base run, trying to get some layer foundation on which to build.
I'm doing all sorts. I think I'm doing all sorts of stuff. I'm doing hills. I'm doing like pickups. Today I'm doing a bunch of max K efforts. So I think I'm gonna again. It's not always the best of fun, and I certainly don't have the same top end speed. Like I used to be able to run, 8 kilometer at like I don't know 310 or something. I'm struggling to get under 330 at the moment. I know it'll come,
Mm.
but it's that little bit of frustration. And then I think on Sunday, I did it on last Sunday. I did four kilometers at goal marathon pace, and it felt pretty easy. So this week's 8 kilometers, which I was actually surprised how easy it felt to run that pace for I mean it was only 4 kilometers, but 8K this Sunday on in a 25K run. So looking forward to that. I actually really like those Sunday. Got a really good loop I do in Sydney now where I go and it's just all along the water the whole way. It's fucking wonderful.
Oh, that's cool.
Heaps of people out because it's like this really popular path. So it's good. Good time to be a good trainer. But look, if you want to really hear the inside scoop on what we're doing a bit more than on this podcast, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. We are going to do a bonus podcast. We were probably going to do it this week, but as I said, I forgot, and now it is way too late for James. So we'll do it next week when he's back in the UK. But yeah, that's where you go. Bonus show, Strava group, WhatsApp group, Facebook group. I think what was it on the weekend with Ironman Texas, which was the worst possible timing for Australia. It was literally right, but I woke up to like 200 and something messages in that WhatsApp group, which
It
is
was good. It's when you haven't got access to a computer screen or you're out and about, it's a very, very good way to keep a track of the race. It's like really knowledgeable, good quality text commentary, you know?
we also had some good chats in there about British triathlon this week as well, which I appreciated because there's a fair few pros in the group. It's funny because you like with the WhatsApp group in particular. You don't always like I don't have the names of everybody because they're just phone numbers. So
No.
I'm not
Yeah,
always
there's
sure who
lots
it
of phone
is.
numbers.
And then you realize you're like, fuck, okay, we got a fairly legit number of pros and stuff with some really cool insider knowledge and opinions and things like that. So it's a good place. So patreon.com/talking triathlon.
And Sean Green, of course.
And of course, Sean Green, the most biased fucking Canadian. And the
Yeah.
sooner that
There's
he
knowledgeable people,
the,
there's experienced people, there's professionals, and then there's Sean Green.
the thing that gets me though is his weird obsession with Lionel Sanders because like Sean loves Canadians. So I don't understand why he's so obsessed with Lionel Sanders, who's clearly an American athlete. Like it just, I'm like, Sean, mate, I don't know if you like, is it, I don't get it. Like you're an intelligent man. So I don't know why you keep going on about Lionel fucking Sanders like he's a Canadian because he's not. He lives in Tucson, Arizona. He's American. So
Yeah.
yeah, weird.
He's
Sweet,
flogging
man.
that horse, doesn't he?
Sweet. We should probably start with Lionel Sanders because I mean, we look, you know what we're like, guys. We're going to jump all over the fucking place. And I'm going to swear a lot. Deal with it. Lionel Sanders, mate. I saw this. I think I heard whispers. Actually, I think it was the WhatsApp group that brought it to our attention. But Lionel was meant to be lining up this weekend in St. George, which as I sort of said a few weeks ago, we were going to see Sam Long versus Lionel Sanders again, which to me at the moment is it's all I want in any race I watch at the moment. Literally any triathlon. If I saw Sam and Lionel on the start list, get me the popcorn, lock me in. I want to watch that shit. Uh,
Agreed. Agreed.
but he is not on the start list anymore. So Lionel has picked up
He's not.
a stress fracture of the rib.
Yeah, he put out a post on social media. He said, "Sorry, we've been a little quiet on social media lately, but I picked up an injury after Oceanside, and it took a while to diagnose the issue. Unfortunately, I have a stress fracture in my rib and will be out for a little while." I don't know why that made me chuckle. The
It's
ultimate
funny.
goal
That's
remains the same, and that is to be on the Big Island in October. So yeah, I mean, I actually went and watched his YouTube video about this. I don't know
Mhm.
whether you have.
I have not.
No, just because I was interested in his mindset more than anything else. Because it's always interesting watching Lionel respond to these things. I think a younger, less experienced Lionel would have just been like, "Well, fuck it, I'm just gonna try and race anyway." But his attitude was quite mature and stable. And he said, you know, I'm paraphrasing. He said, "I don't need the races. I'm not interested in racking up races for no reason. If I'm injured, I'll recover, and then when I can race, I'll race." And it was a very measured response from him.
Are you sorry? No, no, no. Again, we're talking about you're an intel. Like, are you sure you're watching Lionel Sanders' channel, mate? Because I think you might be confused. I think you might have been watching
Yeah,
like a Jan
watch,
Frodeno or somebody a bit more. Because
watching your personal YouTube channel.
that sounds far too rational and
Yeah,
intelligent.
no,
Like,
it was very rational and it was very measured and very considered, and it was quite a breath of fresh air, to be honest, for to hear him and the roller coaster that his journey through triathlon, to just step back and say, no, if the injury's the priority, then I'll deal with that, and then I'll race when I can race. I mean, he's still got to qualify for the Big Island, isn't he?
yeah,
So he's gonna have to race
lots
an
of people
Ironman at
do.
some point.
There's
But I
lots of
don't know
people that need to qualify. So
how long does a stress fracture over the rib take to heal?
I whatever I, this phase of Lionel is just the best. Like, and I'm not being sarcastic, or ironic here. Like, we said, but I love hearing this. I love to see, like, he's making some really smart decisions, right? He's focusing on, you look at literally everything we talk about, right? The things we're going on about this show. We athletes need to specialize. He's got the athletes who are trying to do everything. We don't think it's going to work. Like, Lionel has decided he fuck the T100, fuck the Pro Series. I want to win Kona. Like, he's focusing on his swimming. We're seeing the improvement. He's gotten an injury, so like it's phenomenal. It's
Mm.
like I honestly
All of the
I'm
other athletes as well. A lot of the other athletes are going to be racing the Pro Series to try and do well in it, or they're going to be racing the T100 series as well as trying to focus on Kona. So it's quite an intelligent decision from an athlete like Lionel, who could have done really well at that T100 series.
mm,
But, the calculation that if there's 1 year where the odds might be stacked in his favor, because it's this 1 year, this first year is going to be quite discombobulating for a lot of people. No
yeah.
one's going to know what they can do and what they can't do. They're not going to know whether how many T100s can I race and still be good at Kona? How
Mm,
many of these Pro Series races can I do and still be good at Kona? Where's my focus going to be? So it's almost like he's coming in under the radar a little bit and just being like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on that. I'm going to fuck the rest off and let you guys all get confused and overtrained and overraced. And I'm going to focus on that. And man, you never know, do you? This might be the year where, because everything might just fall in his favor, and he might be there to pick up the pieces when it all goes to shit for everyone else.
I just think, again, and I know it's early, right? And we're not like we're known to get put up a little bit early in things, but the way he has that, okay, Oceanside I'm using a sample of one race, right? But gap wasn't that big. So the gap in Kona, I expect, will not be as significant, especially if we have a sim swimlet at Kona 2 years ago where we literally Sam Laidler was basically doing backstroke, like, not a super hard swim. You're going to have that Norwegian threat, so people are going to be paying a lot of attention to the Norwegians, and Lionel will, I think, I mean, obviously he won't fly under the radar because he's Lionel. Like, everybody is paying attention, but I just really, if he gets that Ironman thing right, which we have seen him get in the past, but not for a while. Man, he could. I dare say it. Could he be? Will he win it? I still don't think so. Will he
I
podium?
don't
I think
think
he
so, but
could.
how
Oh, mate,
fucking
fuck.
cool would it be? He'd be the
I'll bore my
James
eyes out.
Hunt.
I'll bore my
He'd be
fucking eyes out,
yeah,
mate.
man. He'd be the James Hunt of the single championship that you fought for so hard for years, and then he'll just retire.
Oh, can you, like, actually imagine a world in which Lionel wins current? Like, the sport would Mate.
I don't think he'd survive crossing that finishing line. It would be so intense.
It's true, isn't he? Just actually puffs, like vanishes in a puff of smoke. He gets so excited, he just
just
vanishes.
just evaporates. Like the Thor lightning comes
Self-combust.
down and just fucks him off.
Self-combust. But in all
Yeah, I mean, it
seriousness,
would
hope
be
he gets
amazing.
better.
It would be so good.
Yeah.
And it would create, I think at this point in his career, it would have to be a very specific set of circumstances that would allow that to happen. But what he's showing is everything that he's got control of, like his mindset, his approach to racing this year, where his priorities lie, he's making the right choices. So all he needs is for those things he hasn't got control of to fall into place. And if they do, it'll be his year, and that would be remarkable.
I think some of the other things that he has to worry about that he has no control over are those two Norwegians who has sort of
Yeah.
been laying relatively low of recent times because I still think that, yeah, who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah, I genuinely, the way Gustav won that race, like, mate, if he can bring a performance like that back time and time again, then he will be a repeat champion time and time again.
the only sort of caveat I put over that is again Sam Laidlow in Nice last year. Like I still cannot, as good as Gustav's performance was in Kona, Sam's Nice performance is, like I said, if he races like that, he'll never be beaten again. Like it was light years ahead of everyone. Like, mate, fuck, he was in another stratosphere. Like, he was on another planet.
Yeah, he was very good on a very specific bike course. Yeah, I think Kona's a different kind of
It still
racer, and
has the
especially we
course
see
record.
we see him have the kind of issues he has with his gastric issues, and he seems quite sensitive to, and Kona brings that to the fore because of the. I know Nice is hot, man. I've spent a lot of time in this part of France. I know it gets really hot here in the
It's not
summer.
humid though.
It's, it's not humid. It doesn't. You don't have that intensity that Kona brings with it, and I worry about his constitution. I don't worry about it that much, but his constitution and his ability to
You in the shower, hand up against the
yeah,
water spread.
just
It's
the
worried
water
about
from the shower hiding
will,
my tears, mate.
will Sam Laidlow's gut handle the humidity? I don't believe anything he says, mate. I'm convinced that it's all just to be charade, and he's actually intentionally sabotaging these races to give everybody the feeling that he's not going to be able to compete in Kona and go out and smash it. There, tinfoil hat is on my head. I think it's all a big master plan because he did it last year and he absolutely destroyed it. So anyway, Lionel Sanders. Let's get back to Lionel. Terrible news. He's got stress fracture. I hope he recovers quickly because I want to see him on start lists. I really, really, really want to watch him race this year. Hopefully, he does one T100 race. I just like to see him drop in and do one because I like to see where he's at compared to some of those guys. But all the
Yeah,
best for recovery. So
yeah. What's the one after Kona?
there's
Because
that
that would be
Vegas.
cool, wouldn't it?
Vegas is the one around it. I don't know if Vegas is
Yeah,
before or after. I can't remember off the
because
top of
that
my
would be cool. Round the year off, go and win Kona, Lionel, and then go and win one T100 race, and then retire.
or do 70.3 worlds and get that one too.
Get that one too, and he'd just retire as a Ironman half Ironman and champion and a T100 winner.
I love the thought, and I don't know why, but I do kind of I see a bit of like Conor McGregor in Lionel Sanders in a weird way. Like I love the thought of Lionel getting the microphone when he's wins Kona and he's like, I'd like to apologize to absolutely nobody. Just fucking getting stuck right
Conor
in.
McGregor is like Lionel that didn't give up the drugs,
Okay. Mm,
basically.
basically. All right. Fair enough. Let's move on to the next one. So how do you want to do it? Do we want to talk about races that happened, races that are coming up, or where do you want to go, mate?
Well, let's have a chat about Texas, shall we?
Let's get it out of the way. I hated this race. I didn't watch
I
it.
hated this fucking race. Jesus, man. I mean, I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention while it was on because I was busy doing my own trail race. Um, I kept every time I was going up, walking up an uphill because the uphills were steep, I would check my phone and the ever reliable stream of information from our WhatsApp group would keep me up to date with what was happening. But you woke up and messaged me and was like, there's nothing good here, is there? And I felt the same. I just was dejected by the amount of people that I thought were going to do well who picked up an illness going into the race. It's like a thing went around or something and everybody got sick.
Yeah, I mean, look, I joke that I said I hated this race. I don't like. There's some amazing things that happened in this event. Cat Matthews, fantastic. Like, what
Yeah,
a
agreed.
performance. I'm really happy to see. But as we sort of said last week, it was going to go one of two ways. Should they win the thing or DNF?
It
Hopefully
was
for
nice to be wrong on that.
yeah. But again, I did luckily pick her, which makes it like happy. But again, really happy to see that injury sick because again, you don't want to see any athlete get injured. So that was great. I think more my source of saying it was shit was again not being objective, being subjective, working with Joe, waking up, seeing Joe DNFs, and just been like, fuck. Like that initial, just like, fuck. And then, yeah, like, talking with Joe after, Joe being devastated, like stuff like that. It
I was the
really,
same with Andrew, and they had the same illness of so whatever it was, and watching him go backwards through the field was depressing. But it's just really unfortunate, isn't it, when you put that effort in to travel to a race that's so far away, to get sick and to have like a 48 hour illness that just fucks your race over. It's brutal in terms of luck.
well, I mean, again, peek behind the curtain. Like I've had some pretty extensive debriefs with Joe. Joe's goal is the Pro Series this year. So this was a sort of a spanner in the works a bit. But like again, talking much, I suppose, about Lionel and making smarter decisions. I know that there's been some learnings from this as well. Like, we're trying to like scale back the pre-event stuff that Joe does because the problem is with the popular pro triathletes is everybody wants to meet them, shake their hand, and when you get to these big events where people come from all over the world all traveling, this is when bugs spread, and it's very easy for these athletes who are on the edge of a knife to get
Mm.
sick. So it's like I think we're going to do some stuff to pull back that stuff, like focus more on doing the social stuff, like Joe does his beer mile and things like that post event, and then actually try to keep him relatively wrapped in cotton wool pre event. So there's positives, but yeah, mate, it was no, not good news to wake up to, and uh yeah, like I said, I still think there's really some real positives. Like I love that we've got this new winner. Now I'm just trying to. I know it's Tomás Rodríguez Hernández. And I don't know if you've seen this video, but one of my favorite things like, you see these things on social media where they just sort of these little grabs, and it just makes me like love an athlete. They interviewed him post race and they asked him like, what was your thoughts going into this event, knowing you had, all these stars on the list and, world champions and stuff? And he said, what he thought to himself was, fuck your world titles, boy. Made me laugh so hard. I was like, you legend. And again, first Mexican to ever win an Ironman, mate. Like for a triathlon mad country like Mexico, like again, there's certain countries in the world that I think that really, really embrace and love this sport. The Philippines is one that automatically comes to mind. Like the Philippines has got to be one of the most mad triathlon countries on the planet. But I put Mexico right up there. I still remember in 2016 at the 70.3 World Champs, the Mexican contingent, like they were the best. I had a photo taken and they've all just like they all surrounded me. It was the best party. Like Mexican triathlons and fans and triathletes are wonderful. So to see them have this incredible thing to celebrate is a real positive. Uh, but yeah, let's talk about the racing a bit because that was just some waffle. But let's talk
Yeah.
about the actual race.
So Menno Koolhaas led the swim out, and then um, what's his name? Marquardt.
Matthew Marquit,
Um,
Marquit.
Marquardt, yeah, Marquardt, I think. He dominated the bike, but Rodriguez was 12:45 down off the bike,
Yeah, I know.
you know, with Lang almost 15 minutes down. And then he went and broke the run course record on his way to victory, which is fucking incredible.
And slowed down a fair bit at the end, I believe, as well. Like his pace dropped at the back
Yeah,
end, didn't it?
yeah. It's unreal performance. So it was Thomas Rodriguez Hernandez in first place in 7:42:38, Patrick Lange in second in 7:44:14, and Clement Mignon in third in 7:48:37. I mean, it's the whole bike for show, run for dough thing, isn't it? Because with your first and second athletes coming out into T2, 12 minutes 45 down and 15 minutes down, respectively, and then running their way through the field up to first and second, it's the sting of those high quality runs that really makes the difference in these races.
Well, it is sort of when we know if we have it. I mean, we've definitely said on the podcast, but when you talk about long distance triathlon, the run is the most important, right? Like the swim isn't as
Mm.
important as it is. Short course, the swim is so important. Not, but that run really is critical. And this is it, right? You're seeing it here, and I just I'd love to be inside Patrick Lange's head a little bit, knowing like he must have got off the bike and he's probably thinking, okay, I can probably run this down. And then like I don't know if he'd ever heard of Tomás, Rodriguez Hernandez before, but he must be thinking, why the fuck am I not catching this guy? What the hell is going on when those gaps were sort of staying relatively similar? I mean, they obviously started to come down at the
Yeah.
end.
Lang started to close in towards the end and got within a minute and a half, but
Mm,
he ran out of road. Rodriguez had reduced Marquardt's 13-minute lead, and he made the pass with 10 miles left to go. I mean,
ridiculous.
that's outrunning somebody, isn't it? And
Mm.
then Lang, yeah, like you said, Lang started to close a little bit towards the end, but ran out of real estate. Um, like you say, for his first full distance race, first Mexican to win an Ironman, and he finished 45th 3 weeks ago at 70.3 Oceanside.
I know it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like again, I feel like it's I not gonna I never heard of this guy before ever. Like genuinely, never even was aware of him whatsoever. But like I said, I saw that clip afterwards and I loved it, and I loved what it means. And I definitely think it's a name that we're going to see on those start lists now and be paying a lot more attention to. But I guess that's the thing that this series is sort of bringing to the fore a bit, little right? Is we've got these, we've spoken a lot about these lists of athletes. We don't know who most of them are, but if it gives you a performance like this, mate, like maybe it is a real positive, or I think this is the sort of thing you miss out on maybe a bit with the T100 system through those sort of contracts, right? Is you don't get these
The random,
what the fuck
yeah,
performances.
who the fuck is that? Because I messaged you and I messaged David W. Davis as well and said, who the fuck is Tomás Rodríguez Hernández? And he was like, what? And like, no one's, I mean, Dave said he'd heard whisperings of this Mexican runner coming up through the ranks, but what a performance. And I love it. Like you say, I've got a lot of time for what the T100 are doing, and I don't think they should change anything. I think what they're doing is interesting and unique. But what I like about this Ironman Pro Series, as you said, is that you get this opportunity for a freak moment where, somebody just throws a Hail Mary in. And I mean, I hope this isn't the last we see of him. It's not just a one and done.
I don't think we're
I
going
want
to,
to
man.
see him. I want to see him perform like this again. I want to see him to throw a cat amongst the pigeons and you know, the established order watch out.
I think what there's a, so I when you were talking then about the T100, what I'm actually seeing that I quite like because I think whether we verbalize this or it's just sort of subconscious, I have been worried that everything we have this year is all going to be a bit the same. You're not, yeah, okay, there's a T100, there's a challenge race, there's a Ironman race, I really feel like there is a bit of a separation. Like the two series feel very different to me. Like there is, and I don't know how to, I don't know how to maybe verbalize it so well, but they do feel very distinct
Yeah, I agree with you.
in a
I
good way,
agree with you.
in a real good way. I mean, I think the broadcasting, I mean, ain't great. Uh, I mean, the fact that it's one thing for us. Again, we don't, we get a couple of $100 from Patreon. And we're like, this isn't our job, right? We're not paid to do this podcast. So if we haven't heard of Tomás Rodríguez Hernández, you can sort of get, even though some people who like to comment on our videos expect us to fucking do this full time, you can sort of understand us going, I've not heard of him. But the commentators not know anything about him. I'm like, mate, come on, surely you guys have like a cheat sheet of every
Yeah,
athlete
yeah.
on the start
Or at
list.
least a laptop in front of you where you can go onto the PTO website and just look up all the stats, all the results for the last however many years since they've been a pro.
Well, my understanding from friend of the podcast, Fernanda de la Vega, who's Mexican, knows a lot about him. And, basically this guy has trained at altitude for years. Like he just grew up and trained at altitude. So he's got like this like superpower almost where he is just able to drop this sort of performance. And again, I think that he's small, like what is he, 60 odd kilos, obviously from Mexico where it's hot as fuck. Like, again, you talk about like get this guy on the island, mate. Like, how's he going to go? Because he's going to be in Kona now. He's won an Ironman. He's got his slot. Like, it's suddenly an exciting concept, right? We've seen what
Yeah.
Lang can do. This guy is comparable or better than Lang in terms of doing that sort of performance. Could be again, mate. Just yeah, it's great. So from that point of view, fantastic. I also like to say Matty Hansen, also, really, really solid performance. Braden Curry, DNF, Joe Skipper, DNF, which for the Pro Series, because to me, I guess the main four players for the Pro Series at the moment, the men's in particular, are Joe, Braden, Patrick, and Matty Hansen. I know there's others. I'm just generalizing, but Lang's in first place now, which he should be after two great performances.
I was just about to say, I mean, that despite coming second, he catapults himself to the front of the rankings, just ahead of Matt Hansen. Chris Lefferman's in third,
Chris
and
Leffman too.
our new mate Tomás Rodríguez Hernández with his win is now in fourth place, ahead of Andre Lopez.
Shows how important the Ironman is to this series, right? Which is, I guess, which is the point of the series. But again, I think, and this is the conversation I had with Joe, is like Joe to me is an athlete, and when this series was announced, the discussions that I had with Joe, and I think others will probably agree with, is Joe has the ability to have a bad race and still back up. Like you've got to do three Ironmans. Joe can still do three Ironmans well, I think. Braden, I'm worried about now. Like I look at Braden, he didn't have a great, he had the DQ in Oceanside, which got reinstated, but then he's had this. And I'm now looking at it a little bit going, okay, this is going to make, I mean, for Joe, it's hard too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it isn't, but I start to go, maybe this is Braden's Pro Series not done, but I can't see him. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I think that it's already very apparent how important those Ironman races are. And when you actually really start to look at the numbers, like I've been doing this week and looking at the race, there's not many more Ironmans in this series, mate. Like, to be honest, you've got Lake Placid, you've got that Spanish race, you've got Cairns, Kona, and Frankfurt, I think. So there's not many more to go. So, but similarly, Patrick Lange, who we're going to talk about a bit, he's the athlete that I'm surprised we're seeing him race so much. So Patrick is doing, I think he's on the list for Frankfurt. He's also doing Roth, and he's going to be doing Kona. Like, that's a lot of Ironmans for an athlete like Patrick Lange, who traditionally does maybe two and a
Yeah,
half
yeah.
a year. It's fascinating to see what this series is doing to the status quo, right? Of what we expect, the script.
Well, I mean, they never used to have to, did they? And that was the point. And it's not that they've got to now, but it's a new challenge. It's a new set of guide ropes for this year where they've got an opportunity to be part of this pro series. So they are racing it. And it's really, like you say, it's good to see what having this opportunity and option is doing to the pro field, because we're seeing more names race. We're seeing races that happen with more names in them. And if I'm honest, it's working, isn't it?
Mm. Mate, like I said, we're going to talk about that in Mallorca. Every start list I've seen in this pro series so far has impressed me. And even St. George, which we'll talk about too. If you add Lionel back in, I know Sky, I just saw Sky Monch isn't racing, but if you put Sky Monch back in, like, these start lists are legit. And like, to me, and again, we know that the T100 have invested heavily in getting their athletes to their races. I just wonder if Ironman's sitting there going, well, look, we didn't have to pay these contracts, and our start lists are they're not as good, but they're comparable. They're not
They're
significantly worse.
better than you'd normally get.
Yeah, so it is like, what's the answer? Is it the contracts? Is contracts the pathway? Because it doesn't seem to have worked. Or is it put this big fucking prize at the end? Or, it's fascinating to see. But before we get into this too much more, I think we need to talk about the women's race in Texas, because I don't want to just blow past it, which I
Yeah,
thought would
no,
help.
100%. Lauren Brandon led out of the water, and then Wilms and Langridge took control on the bike. Kat Matthews got a 5-minute drafting penalty on the bike. Um, and they came after closing stages, their lead continued to grow. Corley was almost 5 minutes in arrears, the former champion, 340. So Kat Matthews was 339 off the front, going into T2 despite her 5-minute drafting penalty.
She's so strong
And
on the
then,
bike. It's ridiculous.
yeah, she really is. She really is. She put a nearly on the run. She put almost a minute into Wilms by the 9.2 kilometer mark. 3 minutes down after 9 kilometers, Matthews within a minute of Langridge. 5 kilometers later, as Wilms moved past Langridge before Matthews passed her fellow Brit and reeled in the Dutch pro by the halfway mark. She had to nurse that calf a little bit. There were moments where she was walking a
I
bit
heard that.
tenderly, just and you start to think, oh no, that's bad news. But I think she was just being sensible and looking after that injury, and then went on to win it ahead of Penny Slater in second, Lot Wilms in
Lottie
third,
Wilms,
Hannah Berry in fourth.
Hannah Berry, and then where was Fenella?
Where
Sixth,
was
seventh, eighth,
Fenella?
something like that, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
Fenella Langridge was in sixth.
okay. Yeah,
So
'cause
Cat Matthews won it with 8:42.22.
Penny Slater, a great performance for Penny Slater. Like that's a real, she's an athlete who's sort of building and getting like a second place for Penny Slater is fantastic. And just before, I do want to say about Hernandez, like that's a career maker for him. Like the fact that he's a Mexican who's won
Yeah.
this Ironman race, like that, he could never do anything else again. He's set now. Like Mexico is going to
Oh,
be
yeah. It's like a Belgian winning the Tour of Flanders, mate. He'll never buy a drink again.
correct. Women's race though, like to me, like again, some really, really fantastic, like sort of breakthrough performance. Like I said, Penny Slater getting that second place at this race is excellent. Uh, but Cat Matthews it's Cat Matthews, mate. Like to me, and I'm not trying to discredit, she was probably of a certain caliber above a lot of the others, and I'm not surprised to see her win it the way she did, to be honest, because she is, such a class athlete. And
Yeah, without question. It was for me, it was I was glad to be proved wrong because I was concerned that injury was going to be the limiting factor. And it was very pleasing to see that wasn't the case because you know, it's always good to see everybody racing healthy and strong, no matter what the result, how it shakes out. You want to see everybody get to that finish line in one piece, and with her able to do that, she took the victory.
so again, it's time to put in our get the crystal ball out a little bit, and let's see how our ESP is going. But Cat did that race in Miami, pulled up with an injury, opted out of Singapore, has now done Texas. We know at the start she came out with some fairly lofty goals of trying to win the T100 series and the PTO, sorry, and the Ironman series and Nice. Do you think that's still the goal? Do you think that is still what she's going to try to do? And do you think that injury has probably made her go, okay, I need to like, because again, Ironman is obviously hard on the body, but it doesn't have that same intensity that we're seeing, particularly at T100. Plus, sorry, the 270.3 she also has to do. Like, what do you think the season is going to look like for Cat Matthews now, or what do you think it should be for Cat Matthews now?
I mean, I don't know. It's very difficult to put. You don't want to put words in her mouth, do you? But were it me
Hmm.
and I had an injury, I would be thinking very strategically and carefully about the rest of my season.
Yeah, same.
Um, but this race does show that the form is there, the ability is there, and the hunger is there. So, if only she will know how her and her physio or the team of people she's got looking after her will know what the implications of this injury are, whether it was just a flash in the pan and it's done, or whether it needs to be nursed and looked after, and racing too much would do it damage. So that all of those thoughts and will come into it when she's making that decision. And you know, she's not only a pro athlete, but she's a
Yeah,
physiotherapist
yeah.
herself. So she's not going to make a silly decision, I don't think.
I think the only sort of like looking at, as I sort of said, there's not many Ironmans in this series really that we've got. I can't see Cat Matthews going to Cairns because it's a long way and everything. I think we'll probably there's those European. So there's the Hamburg, which Hamburg and Frankfurt switch for the women. I think Hamburg is the women's race this year. So you got Hamburg, which we'll probably see Cat do. There's also their Nice, which that'll be her third Ironman. But it's like the timing because we know Ibiza. I think Ibiza is really close to the women's race, so then that's a factor. Like I just look at the season and it's tricky, right? Like, and I almost think it's a bit tricky for the women with the proximity of Ibiza to the women's world champs in Nice. Plus, Nice is a fucking hard race. And this isn't a Cat Matthews thing specifically either, but I think to me, Cat's the only athlete that does seem to be trying to do both. Whereas in the men's, we have a lot more people doing both. But yeah, look, great performance, lots of great performances in the women's race. Yeah, well done.
And the standings after the women's race left Fenella Langridge leading the Pro Series rankings. Kat Matthews in second, Daniela Lewis in third, Penny Slater in fourth, Lotte Wilms in fifth, Hannah Berry in sixth, and descending after that. So, goes to show what consistency can do with Vanilla leading the table, and Cat Matthews in second with that Ironman win.
Well, let's stay on the Pro Series, and we won't talk about St. George. We'll leave St. George to the end. But the other Pro Series race that I want to talk about that the start list came out for is Mallorca 70.3. And again, any other year, Mallorca 70.3, yeah, cool, good race, whatever. But this year, there's a few things that I want to talk about. One thing in particular, it's because there's been a huge, I guess, question mark over the fate of this athlete. And that is that we have Gustav Iden confirmed on a start list for the first time this year. We have Gustav Iden lined up to do 70.3. So I'm just going to go through some of the names on the list and we can have a bit of a chat. But Jan Stratman, Gustav Iden, Patrick Lange, Matthias Margerier, Yuri Kulin, Bradley Weiss, Andre Dreitz, Michael Weiss, James Teagle. Who else we got there? That Cam Worth is on there. Christian Hogenhag, George Goodwin. Interesting to see him back on a start list. Patrick Nilsson. Michael Raylert also. And then in the women's, we've got Emma Pallant-Brown, Laura Phillip, Ruth Astle, Lizzie Rayner, Daniela Kleiser, Sarah Svensk, Sif Bendix Madsen. Who else we got there? That's probably the main players for me. But again, pretty good list for a regular 70.3, mate.
It is, isn't it? Laura Phillip for the winner.
Is she going to do a T100 race this year? Like, is it actually going to happen, or she signs the contract to do T100 and does every other race on the planet except for one? Yeah, I'd probably pick Emma Pallant-Brown, to be honest, but that's because I'm a huge EPB fan. But Gustav Iden, mate, obviously the big news. Gustav Iden, it looks like we
Yeah.
have his season. I guess we see the pathway. The Olympics are not happening, I guess, which is horrible for Gustav because I would have loved nothing more to see him go. But I think the injury probably put the nail in the coffin for
Yeah, he's
that.
been under the radar, and he's had a bit of a hard time, hasn't he? So it's good to see him coming back to racing. And this will be really interesting to see where he's at. A little bit of an acid test, see where his form is, see where he sits in this current field and the current sort of hierarchy of athletes. And it'll be a good test for him.
Mm. Well, he is. Am I correct? No, that's so he's undefeated at the PTO, I think, but he has lost some 70.3s. But yeah, mate. So, I mean, where's he at? I'm instantly more excited about this event. Not that I wasn't, but to see, like, that's what I talk about, the ability to put a name on a start list and suddenly it changes the interest. But as much as I'm interested about Gustav, the other one, the name on that list that really caught me was Patrick Lange. And he was the athlete I was talking about at the start, where I said we're seeing his athletes race a lot. Like, I'm
Mm.
blown away by how much racing Patrick and like not badly either. Like he is, I sort of wonder if I love it, mate. Like I love to see these athletes stepping out of their comfort zone a bit. Like there's the ability to just dictate your season around one race. You can still do it if you want to, like Lionel is proving, which I don't think is a bad thing. But I wouldn't have. I genuinely, if you had told me, I would have thought Lang would be the guy focusing on Kona. Like I know he wants more
It's
world
like
titles.
it's like him and Lionel Sanders have traded places or traded
Fucking
brains or something. It's like
perfect.
face off, isn't it?
Fucking you have hit the nail on the head. That is exactly what it is like. Is Langer is like when we were discussing preseason and talking with Joe about pro series and who's doing what. Like I never never would have expected Langer to commit to this as hard as he did for two reasons, right? We know he's all about Kona. He wants those world titles. We saw how good he was in Nice last year. Like he's back ready to compete for world titles. But he also gets paid a lot of money to go and do Challenge Roth. So to me, they were both like, well, he'll do Roth, he'll do Kona. He's not doing another two Ironmans. I guess he is. I guess he is. Plus some very competitive 70.3. So I never would have anticipated that from him. And like I said, I love it. Uh, it is. I think you've hit the nail on the head, right? It is like he's traded places with Lionel Sanders. That's very good. Yeah, but again, we spoke about it. What a high quality start list we've got in this race. Uh,
Yeah, it's going to be
interest.
really interesting. And the beauty of the Pro Series is that even though the coverage isn't great, it does guarantee us coverage on these races that we talk about because some of the most frustrating moments I've had podcasting is when we've been previewing a race coming up that's got some names in it and we want to see, and then we're like, is it being broadcast? And at the
No.
bottom of the article, it will say no broadcast for this one, just on the tracker. But at least, with these Pro Series races, we are guaranteed that broadcast. We're guaranteed to be able to watch it, to follow it, and to understand what's happening. And that's can only be a good thing, with hopefully more and more to come as the broadcast improves.
I would like to see them, but more, like it still has. It's not easy to access the broadcast. You have to go to that outside
Yeah.
thing.
It's weird. And there's loads of like fake ones on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. It's yeah. Just put it back on YouTube, guys. Stop
Yeah.
trying to put it behind a paywall. The women's race, though, Emma Pallant-Brown to me is gonna win it because I think Emma's just such a good runner, and when the temperatures drops a little bit, which I expect it to be in Mallorca, Lizzie Rayner. If I'm correct, Lizzie Rayner was one of the paces for Nicola at sub
Yeah.
eight. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It'll be interesting. And Ruth Astle, sorry, Ruth's the name I meant to leave, which is good because I thought that Ruth had
Yeah,
a
I thought she was injured.
same. Maybe she's just on the start list. Maybe she just put her name down and is hoping to see how things go.
Hmm.
But I fucking
It'd
hope
be good
she,
to see her start.
yeah,
It
mate,
really would, because Ruth Astle without an injury is better than Ruth Astle with an injury.
mate, you've blown my mind. Then, like, what a.
Podcasting gold, that, wasn't it?
We've also got Sif Madsen, who's Magnus's girlfriend, on that start list. Sarah Svensk is another name that you always have to sort of pay a bit of attention to. But yeah, I'm keen against that. I love what this pro series is doing for getting these names on the start list. But there is a pro race coming up in the pro series that demands our attention, and that is this weekend in St. George. St. George 70.3 is coming up, and we have possibly the most exciting middle distance athlete on the planet at the moment racing the race.
Yeah, yeah. And no Lionel Sanders to spice it up and challenge him and make it interesting,
I know.
which is a shame. What we've got Sam Long, Jackson Laundry, Mark Durbrick. Who else have we got there? Robert Williowicz.
Willowicz,
Uh, Cam Worth is going to be on the start list. Ben Hamilton, um, Mika Tagholt.
Mickey Tackle.
Um, so there's a huge amount of people on the start list. Obviously, it's the Ironman Pro Series, so it goes deep. But not all of those names you'd have heard of. But I can't see anyone challenging Sam Long for this, mate. The wind is at his back, and I just see him coming into this and sweeping everybody aside.
No, 100%. Like to me, it's the Sam Long show. Like it's his to lose, right? He has a funny relationship with this race though as well. This is where he got that bullshit DQ or penalty
Mm.
or whatever it was. I can't remember. Was it a penalty? He got penalized. He got penalized in St. George when it was world champs a couple of years ago, where remember Jackson dropped in front of him and forced him to like that fucking
Oh yeah.
absolute shambles. But Jackson's back on the start. I mean, the four names that really stand out to me, five, but the three that I sort of am going to put to the front as my three sort of provisional picks are going to be Sam Long, Jackson Laundry, and Mark Dubrick. Mark just won that. Was it St. Anthony's race? I believe. Am I right? Have I got that wrong? I think he won St. Anthony's that Olympic distance race in the US over the weekend. But again, Mark's an athlete, really nice guy. I've met Mark a few times. Really, really nice guy, but seems to have that momentum going with him at the moment. I know there was a lot of calls to
Yeah,
get him
and he
into the
was
Team
he
100
was the top
series.
American at the 70.3 World Championships in 2023 ahead of Long, wasn't he?
So,
So, he's got form to do really well here.
mm,
I just can't see past Long, man.
me
I
neither.
can't
If
can't see past him.
he'll be having very,
Cam,
very short odds, I think.
big shout out to Cam Worth for the big shift he put in April with all his races and pro cycling races
South
straight
Africa.
into triathlon racing.
And again,
Legend.
when was South Africa? Was 2 weeks ago. So he's gone from South Africa back to the States, and now he's going to be doing St. George 70.3 on a not easy course. Like you've been there. St. George is not
Yeah.
an easy flat course,
No,
which
and it's not easy. Simply, it's not just the undulation and the altitude that makes it hard. It's the heat, the humidity, the dust. It is a testing place.
what about the women's race, mate? Who's on the women's start list in St. George? Because I
On the
cannot find it.
women's side of things, we've got Metzler, Paula Finley, Ellie Salthouse.
Oh,
Um, who else is coming in there? Sky Monch is there.
no, she's not. She's
Grace
withdrawn.
Beck. Oh, is she?
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Well, then the article I'm reading is slightly out
I
of
think I literally
date.
saw it this morning just before we hit record. So I
Ah,
think
that's a
she,
real shame.
yeah,
It's a real shame. We're looking forward to seeing her race this year, and I haven't really had the opportunity. Yeah, so I mean, I think Paula Finley is probably looking good for this one.
it's funny because that's where I'm at too. But then I also just know that Ginny Metzler came out. Like Ginny's the defending champion, and Ginny also had that incredible podium performance when it was the world champs a couple of years ago. Where she was second. I think it was Lucy first, Jeannie second, Taylor Nibb third off the top of my head. Is that right? Or was it the other way? Was it Jeannie third, Taylor second? I can't remember. But again, another athlete I think you always have to sort of pay attention to. But yeah,
Yeah, and won it in 2023 as well. So defending
yeah.
champion going into this race. I think she'll have the win behind her, but I think what's it, PTO world number 7, Finley, isn't she at the moment? And
Hmm.
she's finished, what was she, fourth and third in um Miami and Oceanside.
Mm.
So I mean, she's showing consistent form. She might not have won one yet, but she's showing consistent form. I think going into this race as the favorite without question.
I always have thoughts, but I get in a lot of shit when I say them. So I'm just going to agree with you and say I think Paula is. I mean, we know she's such a strong cyclist, so I think
How
this
do
is.
you get in shit for saying what you think on a podcast, mate? Does that happen?
I can't imagine, mate. I can't imagine. Yeah, look, I really am loving seeing this consistent Paula Finlay, and I know that she like those performances are fantastic, but I still don't think it's what she's like. On her day, she could beat anybody, like, and I mean that she could beat anybody in the world, and yeah, I think we could see her do that this weekend in St. George. So yeah, I'm looking forward. Again, that's a race I do want to check out. Just the timing with America at the moment is absolutely brutal with races. Like Texas literally
Yeah,
was
it's not great
through the
for you,
night.
is it?
Like honestly, I think the broadcast started about 9 p.m. on Saturday night for me, and when I woke up at 7, it was over. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's not easy enough. It's not easy enough to access the broadcast after the event to to make it easy to watch, right? Because you can't just watch it on YouTube when I'm on the train. I have to go through that fucking outside app. And yeah, I don't have that on my television. I'm not going to set up I'm not that desperate that I'm going to set up my MacBook while I'm on the trainer. So this one hopefully works out a little bit better. But yeah, I guess they're the main start lists and stuff. There is also Ironman Australia happening this weekend. I don't know if you've got the opportunity to quickly pull up the start list. I don't even know if it's been published yet. But
I
I know
don't know
I
either,
know
no.
that Sam Appleton's come back from Australia, sorry, back from the US to race, and then my man Mike Phillips is also on that start list. I think Mike is gonna hopefully get the win, but I'm actually not. Again, it's funny. It is a little bit disappointing to be honest to see that Ironman Australia has like even we talk about Ironman New Zealand a few months ago, like that's still considered a lot of coverage and stuff. I've not seen anybody really talking about Ironman Australia this year. Uh, I mean, I know there's probably other podcasts and things that are doing a bit, but it just doesn't seem to get the breakthrough. And I really wish we saw more. I mean, Kansas obviously pro. I wish New Zealand was probably part of the pro series. I think that would have been a good place to start the series. But yeah, just want to give Mike Phillips a bit of a shout out. Um,
I can't find the start list, mate.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was sort of
They're
mean.
all everything's really old articles from
Mm.
years ago.
Come on,
Um,
guys, do better. Try to evaluate. No, I'm not going to
no,
say
I'm
that.
I'm searching the entire internet here.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about a bit is the World Cup event that happened in Chengdu, China on Monday. Now, I'm not sure if you've had the chance to watch this. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen all of it. I watched bits of it, and I've seen some key moments.
Mate, it was fantastic. And again, the fact that Max Stapley had his breakthrough World Cup win was brilliant. But the actual racing, mate, was so cool. Have you seen the point where Taylor Reid, who was like going shoulder to shoulder with Max, a Taylor from New Zealand, people playing along. So Max and Taylor have sort of surged ahead. They dropped Jonas Schoenberg a little bit, and then next minute Taylor Reid's pulling off to the side, and his pace just he starts going,
Yeah, yeah.
then starts projectile vomiting while running, and still manages to finish with a third place overall. But Jonas Schoenberg, obviously the athlete, we always joke is death taxes, and Jonas Schoenberg going too hard out of T2. To get a podium, also wonderful, but just for Max Stapley, mate. Like,
Yeah, man.
Max is
Friend of the
a
podcast.
friend of the podcast, just an athlete. Like, this is the thing that makes me so happy about it is this is literally the rewards of patience, right? Like, you talk about that, these athletes who just day after day put in the work, do the graft,
Yeah.
do it, do it, do
And
it.
he was working so hard on that run, wasn't he? You know, you could see it. It was amazing.
And the celebration and stuff at the finish line, like that's what I love. The fact is like, what, huh? What are you saying? Like, calling out British triathlon a little bit. Uh, there's a lot of stuff. It is that time of year now. We're getting into the silly season with short course racing. We got Yokohama coming up not this weekend, next weekend. Like, things are shit's starting to get real with Paris literally around the corner. I don't know if you saw. Did you see the comments on our Instagram account about Paris? Did you see that? So Arnold Silikov, who also has a podcast called Try Bandit, I think it's called. But he put
Uh-huh.
up just on the note of what we were talking about last week around the swim quality. He said there is no direct sewage in the Seine. Problems are stationary boats, surface water if heavy rain, which is a good probability since August is pretty stormy, and the massive risk of any industrial or agricultural pollution upstream. 1.5 billion euro has been invested to avoid these risks. So far, no results. In his podcast, they recently interviewed the French Tri Federation president, and it was, of course, the main topic. They were clear there is no plan B. In French, it's called the Tribe. Organizing committee decided about the location, and French Triathlon Federation has no say in it. So there is no plan B in terms of another course, mate. If it is not good water quality, there will be no swim. But I think there will be a swim. I would be very surprised if there is not a swim at the Olympics.
Yeah, interesting that he says there's no direct sewage into the Seine because that's not what I read.
Oh,
But, might be
it's on
I'm
the
probably
internet.
wrong.
Who knows? Again,
Yeah.
there are problems with stuff getting in the water in France that is not ideal
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
have?
yeah. I think I read last week when we mentioned that I did say that the stationary boats and surface water is a big issue. Um, but I think there is an issue with dated housing not having had their sewerage updated, but I might be wrong.
I just also want to shout out the women's race in Chengdu. Julie Darren, who finished first, Tilda Manson in second, and Ros Roxana Slupek in third place. So great racing in China. Looked like a cool race, mate. Like, I really am enjoying World Tri. I mean, apart that Wollongong broadcast was unwatchable, but I think they've really done a good job this year of making their races good to watch. So I'm really keen to see Yokohama next weekend, especially as we sort of touched on. There's a lot of it's silly season. There's a lot of drama at the moment around who does what, what's going where, what means what. So this year's crazy, man. There's so much triathlon happening. It's actually nuts, like genuinely nuts. So we'll see. But no, I
Yeah,
think
there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm I think we need to we need to be watching some triathlons over the next few weeks, don't we?
I think we will be again
Yeah.
very keen to watch. I'll definitely watch in Yokohama. The plan is to watch Oceanside. I'm going to be following Ironman Australia. I think again you heard it here first. Mike Phillips for the win. I don't even know who's in the women's race, to be honest. But
Here we
yeah,
go. I found it, mate.
tell me.
One of the things they were trying to fix were connecting wastewater pipes to the sewerage network in order to eliminate poor home connections that flow directly into the Seine and the Marne rivers without being treated. So it might not be, he's quite right. There are no intentionally direct sewerage outlets into the Seine, but there's lots of unintentional sewerage flow into the Seine from shoddy, historic, bad home connections.
Now, just on the start listening, I know you need to keep talking because I have a feeling does the Pro Tri website the Pro PTO website have start lists on it?
What for Ironman Australia?
I think it does, doesn't it?
Have a look. What, the Pro Series or the PTO?
The PTO website. I have a feeling that it has start lists. Where am I getting this from? Is this, I might be completely wrong. This is probably, I don't care about the, here we go. I'm in Australia. Let's have a look. Let's see what happens if I click on it. Yeah, here we go. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Good.
nice.
Start list. Josh Amberger, Sam Appleton, Mike Phillips, Steve McKenna, Mitch Kibbe, Tim Van Berkel, Matt Kerr, Ben Hill, Henrik Goisch, Nathan Miller. Women's race, Radka Carterfelt, Kate Gillespie Jones, Emily Donker, Laura Armstrong. So there's not many women. Didi Guy Spire from the US is on that start list.
Really?
Didi isn't gonna be
No
in the
way.
broadcast. There you go.
Won't be commentating then, will she?
Nah, but that men's race ain't bad. There's some fire there. You've got Josh Amberger. I wonder if Josh is doing it because he did South Africa. Maybe he needs I'm not sure. Dave Tilbury Davis can tell
Yeah.
us. Sam
He
Appleton.
hasn't qualified. He hasn't qualified.
That's probably why he's there
So
then.
he'll need a slot, yeah.
But to me, the three names to really watch out for is Steve McKenna, Mike Phillips, and Sam Appleton. Tim Burkle could be up
Yeah.
there. Josh will definitely be at the front with the swim with Sammy Appleton and stuff. So yeah, could be exciting. Again, we won't be able to watch it, but we'll be tracking along. Yeah. All right, Jimbo. If people want to find out other things about not MX Endurance, talking track,
Oh,
where do
Jesus,
they need to
throwback
go?
there, wasn't it?
I know. Where do they need to
Yeah,
go?
if you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at tford14 on Instagram, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. Join us across all social networks at Talking Triathlon on Insta and at Talk Triathlon on Twitter. And if you join the Patreon group, as we said earlier, you'll get access to all the social groups, access to the WhatsApp group, and it's a great place to be. Really is a great place to be. Very supportive, very friendly environment.
And we'll be doing a bonus episode next week. So there's another thing to jump
Ooh,
on.
indeed.
Probably done what, 10 of them now or something? I can't even remember. A lot.
Loads of them.
It's good. I enjoy
All
them.
that secret insight, mate.
I know all the stuff we're not allowed to say in this one. But until next time, Jimbo, we'll chat later. Thanks for doing it.
Cheerio.